Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose. If you're Keyshawn Davis, you're probably going to keep finding a way to lose. And this time, it may not be his fault necessarily, although when you look at the root cause, the fact that he's going to probably end up going bankrupt. Now, what I mean by bankrupt is he's not going to go out here and get the fight purses he was accustomed to now that he's moving up. You see, make sure you like and subscribe, become a member to the channel, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. And may want to leave a donation for Keyshawn Davis too, because this is what people fail to realize. And maybe he doesn't realize this either. Boxing champions, which is what Keyshawn Davis, the former WBO champion, was, right? At 135 pounds. Boxing champions generally make significantly more money than contenders, okay? Now, the reason is just because of their status as a champion. It's just the way the rules are written. Becoming a champion helps with your marketability as well. And when you're in that position, you heard Floyd Mayweather say it. You know, the A side. That's where we all became familiar with that term. That's that phrase, the A side. But when you're the A side, you can demand higher purses. Keyshawn Davis going up to 140 pounds. Look, this man was about to make $1 million plus, $1 million plus to fight De Los Santos. That ship has sailed. He missed out on a $1 million plus purse, all because he didn't have any discipline and because he just thought he was going to be able to come out there during fight week, blow weight, still get paid, getting there and tranquilize and then slaughter Edwin De Los Santos. It didn't work out that way. And I just think for Keyshawn, he never really had an opportunity to enjoy being a champion and to really embrace how champions earn more money than just the average Joe, even a top contender. Okay? Now, you see, when you're a champion, champions receive the lion's share of fight revenue, majority of the time. Sometimes these guys are getting 60 to 80%, you know, of the, sometimes 85% of the total earnings, especially in high-profile bouts. That's crazy, okay? So those opportunities for Keyshawn Davis are gone now. If he could have hung around 135, you know, I don't know if he could have. I don't know if it just was impossible, right? I don't know. But Keyshawn Davis could have gone on in the next few fights. Probably went from making $1 million for De Los Santos, if he was able to beat him, to probably now going on to make $2, $3, $4, $5 million over the next 2-3 fights. But the ship sailed, because now he's going up to 140, and he's got to prove himself. So now he's got to go up there, and he's back to making maybe a $250,000 payday, if that. He was making around $500,000 before he became a champion. But you got to understand, you know, that the bridges he burned, the fans that he lost, and the fact that he's viewed as a fighter with no class and no discipline. Why would any promoter want to roll the dice on Keyshawn Davis? So he's got to figure out a way to prove himself, which I don't think that's going to be really easy. I think he's going to have a tough time proving himself. As a result, it's going to be difficult to get back up into that pay bracket where he had kind of, you know, bubbled himself up to. Anyway, he's missing out on pay-per-views, ticket sales. These are all things that Keyshawn Davis, if he would have held onto his belt at 135 and continue winning, these are things that you're seeing that he was going to continue to generate, especially in Norfolk. That's why Bob Arum was so excited. So the ticket sales, the pay-per-views, once you're doing good in those areas, that generates the larger paydays. Okay? So for those people who wonder, well, why did Top Rank get behind him? It's like I said before, because this man's selling out 12,000 seats. That's crazy. And trust me, if they had larger venues, he and his brothers alone would sell out the larger venues. Out there in Virginia, I don't know what venues they have in the capacity, but I'll tell you, if they had like a 25, 30,000 seat type establishment, I have no doubt Keyshawn Davis' brothers could have filled that. I have no doubt, especially if he continue winning and knocking people out. But the bottom line is he falls to the back of the line. And the other thing is he goes up now, he's rolling the dice. As a champion, you can have rematch clauses. You can dictate all that. Now he's going up to 140 pounds. What negotiating can he do? As a contender, former champion who lost his belt on the scale and was involved in a brouhaha where he and his other brother went to try to intimidate Nahir Albright, who beat the big brother up. And reportedly, they jumped him. Now, it wasn't necessarily stomping him out and shit, but they went over there, man. They confronted the man, and they got in his face. You could just say they jumped him, right? There's different levels of jumping somebody. But the bottom line is, he's not going to be able to ensure another big-time payday like what he was going to get for De Los Santos. That's why I say, man, this man going to go bankrupt. Now, sounds like he has his head on straight. He calls himself the businessman. I know he does have some things in place. He mentioned that he has something set up for his mother who's running it and some other things he has going on. So, we can't take away from the good things that he has going on in his life. But right now, we're talking about the mistake he made and how that's going to affect his future fight purses until he can somehow rebuild. But as a contender, because that's what he is right now, lower guaranteed purses, man. Most contenders earn a fraction of what champions do. Sometimes they got to rely on bonuses or some kind of incentive, and that's why I said there's a lot of things that happen. We all know about the MMA world and how that works, but when it comes to boxing, there's a lot of stuff that happens under the table. But for Keyshawn, I mean, even if they had those bonuses or performance incentives or some little handshake deals, depending on how he performs in his next fight, I just think he's going to be his contracts are going to be very generic, straight to the point. This is what you get, take it or leave it. But he created his own situation. The misery that he's overwhelmed with, he created that. The next thing as far as being a contender, man, even if he happens to get in a fight that they put on pay-per-view, let's say I know Ryan Garcia, but let's say Tank Davis decides, I'll fight you at 140 or whatever it is. Even whatever it is, right? Tank somehow they give him an opportunity. They allow Tank to go fight Keyshawn at 140. Let's just say, we know it won't happen, right? But then Keyshawn, when it comes to the pay-per-view sales, he's going to get his eyeball sucked out because he's not going to get anything near what he could have got because he's just a contender. And to be honest with you, from my understanding, when it really comes to contenders, they usually have little to no brand deals. I don't know what Keyshawn has going on, but again, as far as what he brings to the table, now, nothing. He brings a lot of baggage or a lot of crap. And plenty crap stinks. So he's bringing a foul situation to whoever he's looking to work with, promoter, fighter, commission, it doesn't matter. He's bringing a foul situation. And the other thing to understand, Keyshawn Davis, right? When he fought that guy Albright, Keyshawn Davis, the week of the fight, he was smoking weed. The week of the fight, he got high. Then he tested positive. The win that he had was changed, I think, to a no contest or something. And then here it is, the week of the fight with De Los Santos. He comes down, he blows weight, he's fighting, he's acting like a madman. So when you look at that, with him going forward, and again, we're talking about contenders and the money they earn and stuff like that, you could have people saying, you know what, this is a good opportunity because Keyshawn Davis has talent. We all know he has talent. He just took it to the stupid with some of his poor decisions. But this is an opportunity for people to say, you know what? We can get this guy at a discounted price. Same way they may have been trying to do De Los Santos and say, hey, He's desperate. He ain't got paid in almost 2 years. We're gonna come in and blow weight, and we give him another 100,000. He's gonna take this fight because he's hungry. He's thirsty. And you know what? They could try that with Keyshawn, because Keyshawn Davis, I truly believe that he may play hardball at first, still feeling that he's the man. But after he go a year and a half of inactivity, especially if Top Rank ain't really trying to mess with him like that. I know they have contracts in place where he probably is supposed to get him so many fights a year, but if for some reason they can't make things work, Keyshawn will be in a bad spot. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, as far as the champion and contender, when you know, it's a good example is of someone who's known and brings a lot to the table, but they're still not a champion. You look at Tyson Fury when he fought Ngannou. That's a real good example, because Ngannou had a huge following, was the big dog in the MMA world, UFC in particular. Came over for this bout with Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury got paid $50+ million, and Ngannou only got 10. Now, to us, $10 million is a lot, but still, you look at what Tyson Fury received as a champion. This is boxing, and Ngannou, who was bringing all the fanfare, was going to help with ticket sales, was going to help with pay-per-view sales. Although the fight was in Saudi, help with pay-per-view sales and everything. They brought that UFC audience over. It was still Tyson Fury who got the lion's share of the money. So, in my opinion, I would say that the gap between champion and contender earnings, when you really look at it, is justified. And just like if Keyshawn would have fought De Los Santos and made $1 million, it would have been justified because he was a champion. And it doesn't matter if we feel a contender deserves more money. It's just the way it is, okay? Now, for Keyshawn Davis and those fight persons at 140, they're going to be lower. Now, the problem is no title status. Them earnings, his earnings may drop more than what I anticipate. You know, he's not going to be able to negotiate. No title status. And the competition's vicious. He's got a huge problem with competition. Check this out. This is what Keyshawn Davis has to look forward to at 140 pounds. Tio, Hitchens, Puello, Catterall, Barbosa Jr., Paro, Matias, Russell, Sandor Martin, Smith, Hiroka. Now, when you look at the champions, you got Tio, Hitchens, Puello, Russell. I mean, then you come down and you start looking at Suber, Matias, and Sandor Martin, and you still got Pitbull Cruz there. You know, of course, Kambosos is probably food for these guys. But what I'm getting at, when you look at what he has to deal with at 140 pounds, that's a lot to digest. And just to think Keyshawn Davis already not a hard hitter. You know, how's he going to get up there, man, and try to gain momentum against guys who are more durable, better chins, who have more experience than him? Don't get me wrong, he went to the Olympics, and he's been a pro, and he's done very well as an Olympian, as a professional fighter. So he has IQ. But those guys up there, a lot of those guys have way more experience than him, way more fights, more tricks up their sleeve, and they're bigger and stronger. So Keyshawn's a big boy. But again, if we're going to say guys jumping up in weight, it takes them a couple fights to grow into the weight. Although Keyshawn Davis is a big boy, we got to be fair and maybe say the same thing about him. Man. All in all, man, he's in a bad spot. You know what I'm saying? He can't just come up to 140 and take, like I was joking about him taking a Kambosos fight. You can't do that. If Keyshawn wants to rebuild his reputation and get back into making, you know, handsome paydays, he's going to have to take meaningful fights. So this thing about trying to regain momentum and take soft touches, it ain't going to happen. Some people think he should go straight for a title at 140. Or just there's something now, he should just take tune-ups. I'm telling you right now, man, he needs to go straight. Maybe not necessarily a soft tune-up, and not necessarily a guy like Suber, Matias, or Puello, or Gary Antoine Russell, but he needs to hit the sweet spot. And as far as who and what's that at 140 is a sweet spot, I don't know. There's so many fighters out there. I'm kind of thinking like a Jose Ramirez. I'm thinking like that's a good opportunity for him. And if he gets through him, maybe go and fight a Barbosa, because Ramirez just fought Haney, Barbosa just fought Tio. If he can clip Ramirez, now his name is being mentioned alongside Haney. If he can go and clip Barbosa, now his name is being mentioned alongside Haney, alongside Tio. He's got these other guys talking about him now. And then now maybe he's ready to go and challenge for a title. But again, what happens when he gets into deep waters with these guys, if that happens? Because we got to be real about him. The punching power he's not a one-hitter quitter type guy. He got respectable power, but he's not a one-hitter quitter. Okay? He doesn't carry NyQuil in his fist. He doesn't get in there and tranquilize people. And he was weight bullying guys at 135, but that's not Keyshawn's fault. If you can somehow melt yourself down to 135 for a moment in time and rehydrate back up to whatever, that's not his fault. If the commissions don't have any rules about rehydration, then that's not his fault. Good for him that he had or has shown the discipline to kill himself to get down to a weight and then bubble back up and dominate his opponents. But I just tell you, if he gets in there and he struggles at 140 the way Tio did, Tio's never really looked that great at 140. But if Keyshawn goes up there and is struggling at 140, even in a win, I just think it's going to be a turning point of his career. And that's really what he's at. He's at a turning point. And I think what will really help him is if he just find a way like Jermell Charlo did when he hooked up with Derrick James. It worked on his power. Keyshawn needs to work on his power. Because I just think if he can't establish enough power at 140 pounds, I think that can seriously limit his success. Those guys in the weight class, like I mentioned, they're just a bit more durable, man. And without that serious KO power, David's gonna have to rely a lot on his skill and movement, man, and volume of punches to win fights. People talk about Crawford. Crawford had power, man. I mean, it's just some guys just hit hard. They talk about Mayweather. Mayweather had power. Even at 147, nobody was trying to run in on Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think Keyshawn hits like that. But one good thing about him, and you just got to be fair to Keyshawn, he does have defensive ability. He's shown that, and it's improved, in every fight. And his boxing IQ, them spidey senses, get to tingling in there. And it's showing that he's seeing things and he's trained on things. So when he's in the ring, he's been able to deliver against his opponents. It would have been nice to see him and De Los Santos scrap, but we didn't get that. Now he's got to go to 140. And I'm not saying the guys at 140 are a bigger threat than De Los Santos. I just think for this past weekend, the way De Los Santos, even though I picked him to hurt Keyshawn, but at the same time, De Los Santos did look a bit ghoulish, weight drained. His eyes looked sunken in. And maybe that was Keyshawn's opportunity. But again, we'll never know and he'll never know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. I just think Keyshawn Davis, he's going to have to try to figure out a way at 140 to get respect. He got stronger opponents in front of him that are going to try to walk him down. If he struggles in first fights, I'm telling you, the man going to go bankrupt. Because the money that he was starting to make, $500,000, going to make $1 million. He'll never get back to making them kind of paydays at 140 pounds. Just barely nicking it. You know what I'm saying? He's got to get in there. He's got to do something miraculous, like in the middle of the ring. He needs a magic moment. He needs somebody to wave a wand and abracadabra. He needs a genie to pop out of a bottle. Maybe he can have a genie pop out of one of them goddamn joints he likes smoking and come in there and make a miracle happen, because Daniel Jacobs was the miracle man. That's what Keyshawn Davis, he needs to become the miracle man, because if he can't get in there and do the business, I'm telling you, this isn't my opinion. This is a fact. He's going to just be a C-plus level fighter, B-level fighter. It's all he's going to be. He was good enough at 135, became a champion, but wasn't good enough at 140 with the bigger guys. And you've seen that happen. Adrian Broner at 130 was a menace At 135 was a menace. At 140, whipping everybody's ass. But when fighters are moving up in weight, especially when they don't have respectable power, they peak. At certain weight classes, they peak. Adrian Broner went to 147. Yeah, it was some guys he could beat, but that really wasn't his weight class. Because you could look at Broner. Broner's really a small guy. But that's what Broner was looking for, a 142, 144 type weight to fight people, because he didn't have a discipline to get down to 140. He was too busy, doing what he does. I mean, you could look on social media and listen to Broner talk about the way he was living, okay? He wasn't living the lifestyle of a boxer. So he had to figure out catch weights, but he couldn't mess with these guys at 147 because they were too big and too strong. So he peaked. And Keyshawn Davis, we're going to find out at 140 that maybe he peaks at 140. But you look at him standing there across from De Los Santos, but then again, he looked tall. And my understanding, Keyshawn walks around like 170 something. But anyway, more to come on Keyshawn. It just ain't going to be easy now. This man took food out of his own mouth, took money out of his own pocket, and he got to deal with that. Anyway, best of luck to that guy. I'm going to sit back and see how this plays out, because shit got real for him, didn't it? And it's all his fault. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.